Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
It's time for another PSA. Star Wars fans are racist, according to the media.
How many times do we have to hear this? It's like a, hey, to be fair, it's more like a monthly occurrence now where it used to be daily. So, there's that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, the views are down. We got to hurry up. What can we do? Call Star Wars fans racist. And then they'll make a bunch of videos about us. And then our hits will go up because they'll just come in to complain. A
couple weeks ago it was John Boyega, and now it's Kelly Marie Tran. Because it was always John Boyega or Kelly Marie Tran. It was always one of the two that they bring up. And so now they both have made digs at Star Wars fans about being racist. And then, we still haven't had Moses Ingram yet, but give Moses Ingram time.
No, but we've got like the entire cast of The Acolyte because, the show.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that.
It's because they're racist, and we're going to talk about this. And
always then we're racism. It's never their fault because it just sucks. It's because of racism.
Now, look, we've talked about it before. We like Kelly Marie Tran mostly, but she's going to use the opportunity now to promote her new movie, to talk about racism in Star Wars. And for a while, my understanding was it wasn't the quote unquote racist Star Wars fans that chased her off of Instagram or whatever. It was she chose to leave just because she didn't want to deal
and then she was talking about she might come back to Star Wars, and I'm like, but wait, I thought you hated. Because which one is it? I'm gonna come back, but you just got done saying about how much of the fandom sucked. Which one is it? If the fandom sucks so bad, why would you come back?
Look, this is just my armchair observation. My gut on this is all these actors in the sequel trilogy thought it was going to be a career boost for them, and it actually was a career detriment to be in those movies.
Boyega was talking about how he was almost flat ass broke before he got the Star Wars gig.
Yeah. And now he's probably going back to that because, nobody's hiring him. He did that, and they did Pacific Rim 2, which does not exist in my headcanon.
No, it wasn't good. And the thing is, it's horrible. His character was the one that people wanted to see more of, and then those people you just turned around and insulted. So, you were not very smart. And now Kelly Marie Tran is like, oh, it's because, all the racists chased her off. It wasn't. And even it was people that were mean to her, it was literally, percentage-wise, like a fraction of a percent of people that behaved that way. And then the media and Lucasfilm and the actors used it as a broad brush to paint anybody who didn't like the film or the show as a bad person.
Yep. So let's talk about that. Again, for the umpteenth time. Before we get into any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So we're going to go back to her article, but I just want to show you guys real quick because, the narrative in recent years has been that there hasn't been any diversity and inclusion in TV and movies until current year, and that all the racists now are having a problem with all the diversity and inclusion.
Right. That is a load of shit.
It's a load of shit.
That's you're rewriting history.
Yeah, it's kind of like rewriting Ripley.
Visionist history.
I'm going out to Wikipedia, and I just had a hunch because I'm like, I remember when I was a kid, there was an awful lot of diversity and inclusion on TV.
Well, to be fair, this was way before.
Oh yeah, it was way before. But even the reruns and even whatever. So we're going to go down the list here real quick and just look at some of this. So this is 1974, 75, right? So we're talking before I was born. Mm-hmm. What are the top shows before I was born, before Star Wars existed at all? All in the Family, very progressive show. Sanford and Son. Oh my God, guys, 2 black leads on the show. Chico and the Man. Guess which race Chico is. The Jeffersons, right? Rhoda, female.
Well, MASH had, the one character on it was trans.
Well, he wasn't
Radar.
Trans. He was
I know. The joke was that he was
Klinger was trying to
ill.
get out of his. Yeah, he was trying to get out of the.
Oh, who was it? It was a Klinger. I can't remember
Klinger.
the character.
Radar had the teddy bear.
Oh, that's right. Radar had the teddy bear, and he was very cute. Yes. Yeah. Not him, the teddy bear.
Yeah, and then Big Bird.
You're right. Gosh, I haven't seen MASH. That's how long it's been since I've seen any MASH episodes. My dad would be disappointed in me. I'm sorry, Dad.
I used to watch MASH all the time. I used to watch all these shows.
I watched it because my dad watched the reruns, but I vaguely remember it because I was little. Like when he would watch the reruns. Oh, yeah. We're talking years after this.
Yeah, Good Times. I used to watch Good Times. I used to watch reruns.
That
of
one
Good
you
Times.
have mentioned.
Maude, again, progressive show, female lead, Hawaii Five-0. The only one on here I would consider like right leaning on this whole list is probably the Waltons.
Ironically, I hate the Waltons. They annoyed me. I wanted to like slap someone because it was like, you're gonna make me barf.
But here we had go 76. I mean, I'm not gonna go through every year, right? I'm gonna skip ahead of the 80s. But here we had Laverne and Shirley.
Women never led shows until 5 or 6 years. Well, probably 10 years now.
Yeah, 10 years. So let's scroll down. Let's get into the 80s here. I'm gonna pick 84 because I already know what's gonna be big. Yeah, look at this. Okay, but beyond Dynasty and Dallas, we had the Cosby Show. We had the A-Team, and who was the biggest star in the A-Team?
Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T. We had Golden Girls. We had a show just about a bunch of older women. Yeah, Cosby Shows. Cosby Shows #1, like pretty much every year. Look at this. Different World. Spin-off of the Cosby Show. So we have how many years in a row was Cosby Show? We got the
90s. There are even more shows that were, diverse and stuff going on.
Yeah, Cosby Show. My God, it's all Cosby Show. Cheers finally overtook in the 90s, right? Murphy Brown. Yeah, we get into if we go into the late 90s, I am pretty sure we're going to find Will and Grace on here somewhere because Will and Grace was incredibly popular.
When was it on? I don't even remember.
Let me think here. When was Will and Grace on? No, I can't find it on here. Maybe it wasn't as popular as I thought it was. Ellen's on here. There's Ellen. Anyway, I'm not going to go through it. But you know what I'm saying? Like this whole narrative that it's only recently has there been diversity and inclusion and representation on TV is bullshit because some of the most popular shows, and Fresh Prince was one of the most popular shows for years. So this is not true. Now,
no.
But the Hollywood's trying to spin it this way because it's basically a lot of people that are trying to get themselves, I believe, gigs based on their skin color or their, racial or sexual identities.
When they're bringing it up for Star Wars and stuff, it's like even the prequels, Mace Windu was like badass. And, they're like, there was, it's because of racism. No one was, no one other than Jar Jar Binks and the media saying it was a racist stereotype. Most people weren't even mentioning that. Like they didn't care.
No, nobody mentioned it. Like, Yoda, why are you listening to that bald black man?
It's like no one thought anything of it, really.
Nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. But again, it's like we're going backward. Like everything is like so damn regressive in the last couple of years. And that becomes a yin and a yang. So you start pushing the race and the gender ideology again, and then you're gonna have people speak out against that again, and then the next thing you know, we're right back to 1952.
Yeah, and it didn't have to be that way. But it's the overreaching in Hollywood that has led to this. Yeah. So now they're like bringing up Star Wars into it, and they're talking about a lot has changed for trans since Star Wars. But as she looks back on her experience with the fandom, she knows that the racism she faced was symptomatic of a larger continuing issue. Literally, if you got harassed, it was by a handful of people. The reason people don't like Rose Tico had no reason to do with race.
Race Tico.
Yeah. And pretty much because that's what they keep going with. Nothing to do with race. It was because your character was balls. Her character sucked. It was a stupid character. Her and Holdo, the characters were only there to be a foil to Poe and Finn.
Yeah.
And put them backward several steps so that they could be the ones to, be the heroes and show them the way, even though they didn't need them. They already had grown past that by that movie. But no, we have to make sure because the Force is female, guys, that we got to put these characters in here. That's why people didn't like the character. It was the character. It had nothing to do with Kelly Marie Tran herself. Her character sucked.
Yeah. So this now she's saying, now here's the thing, like Variety, the journalists could be injecting their own opinions into this, right? Because she's talking about the toxic fan, the journalists or whatever. All Kelly Marie Tran says, well, we're going to change the world. She said, it's interesting how it seems to be happening pretty consistently to actors of color who find themselves in these spaces. And I think these occurrences are a microcosm for the social climate that we're living in. It's really unfortunate. Here's going back to, again, the 90s, and you want to talk about these spaces. You want to talk about the nerd space. Let's talk about Star Trek in the 90s and how diverse and inclusive Star Trek was. We had Cisco on DS9, black man being in charge of the entire station. Very well received.
No one thought anything of it.
I mean, I'm sure people probably did complain because we had,
you're talking like such a small group that no one cared. Everybody just stepped over them. And that's what it is now. It's such a small group of people that complained about John Boyega's Finn or whatever. I don't even think they really did, honestly, but there's such a small group that was supposed to be harassing her that normally would be completely disregarded because it was such a small group that it wasn't indicative of the larger group. But no, because they want to push a narrative, they put a spotlight on it and they kept picking it to make it worse. Every time they spotlit it and they acted like you were a bigot, you just made it spread. Like if you had like a sword, you kept picking open, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse because people were offended that you're equating them with that, so they're going to turn against you. More pus there. I mean, it's just stupid.
I don't remember much back. I mean, I remember, again, people weren't terminally online. I was on like America Online or whatever back then, and there were message boards and stuff, but like, I don't remember too many people having a problem with even Next Gen, like half the cast in Next Gen, women, black people, we had all kinds of, and then as it went on in the 90s, we had more and more diversity on these shows, but the characters were well written.
That's just it. You had good characters. Had Rose Tico been a good character that wasn't there just to ruin Finn, people probably would have liked the character a lot better.
Nobody's complaining about Billy D. Williams. Nobody's complaining about Samuel L. Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
They haven't been.
And I think what's going on is we're getting a lot. There's some conflation. And like, look, her first experience with the Star Wars fandom was, oh my God, they hate me. But it's like, no, they hate your character, Kelly. They hate your character.
Oh no, I actually thought she was a sweetheart. Like I saw videos of her before we even saw the movie, and she was talking about how she's so excited to be in Star Wars. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to hug her because she's so sweet. And I still have no problem with her personally, except for the fact that now she's trying to play this race card. And I'm like, it's not about that. Like in the 90s, the biggest movie stars out there weren't white.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not new.
I was looking at the top films of the 80s, and it was amazing, how many times Beverly Hills Cop movies are at the top of it, Like we didn't think anything of it. And again, before I was born, before either one of us were born, TV, a lot of shows, like half the shows that were the top shows on TV were not white shows.
I mean, we grew up with it being like pretty much, I mean, of course it wasn't completely gone, racism and stuff, but we grew up at a time where it was like way more, way less than it is now. And it was just more like, okay. And, and same with like, people being LGBTQ or whatever. It's like, okay. And and it was like,
what else you got?
We just didn't care. And then it's gone from that to whatever this is. And but then they're trying to blame it on the fans. And it's like, it is not the fans.
Somehow racism has returned. No, and that's the powder keg. And that's what we witnessed firsthand was like, if you didn't like a particular piece of entertainment, then it was because you were racist. If you don't like our ham-fisted attempts at diversity, then you were a racist and a bigot and a homophobe. And large portions of fandoms were demonized by the media and by the people working on these shows and movies as being misogynists, homophobes, bigots, whatever. And a lot of people, these are the same people who are like, yeah, I don't like the new, I don't like Star Trek Discovery, but I love Deep Space Nine.
I know, it doesn't matter. It's just because that's against the narrative.
Right.
And she goes on about pointing out people of color are often the forefront of storytelling. Okay. And that audiences could perhaps begin to evolve. But we're at the forefront, so audiences have to evolve. We already were evolved. You devolved. You regressed it. You people, like with your bullshit, shoving stuff down people's throat, constantly calling people names they don't like a show or a character. You have regressed everything back to like the 50s. You were the ones who did it, okay? Stop blaming the fans. It was you guys who did it. If you just shut up and left one off alone and not attacked people, they wouldn't have thought anything of it. But you had to just keep getting digs in, and now people would just get their backs up. And it's, it is what it is.
I mean, look at that. Look at Alf was ranking back in the 80s. And like, man, we're so progressive that we're letting aliens
puppets and stuff. But they're like going on about, this part too. I said, the hope is that people who are not afforded the ability maybe to have access to these communities of queer people or people of color, and because now she's queer, she likes women now, are able to see through the art that people of color and queer people are also human and they have hopes and dreams. No one says they aren't. I mean, you're acting like this is a novel idea. I never once thought, oh my God, they're LGBTQ are not white, so they don't have any hopes and dreams or talents at all. No one thinks that. Nobody thinks that.
No, this is like I think like look, I think she's a nice gal, but I think she's been pickled by whatever's going on.
Okay, I love this.
There.
We live in a world where identities have become weaponized.
That is true.
No, you're right, but not in the way that you're trying to spin it.
Right.
That people are able to see the bigger picture. Yes, but who weaponized identities? Who did that?
Yeah, it was Hollywood. It was the PR machine. It was because again, I was I wasn't shocked because I remember the reruns, but like half the sitcoms that were popular in the 70s going into the 80s were not white, quote unquote, white straight shows.
No, but even then, even if it wasn't like a white show, you had diversity in the show. I mean, most of the shows that even were like considered white led shows still had diversity. I mean, it was like go look. They were far more representative then than they are now. And then you're sitting here saying, I'm hoping that people learn. And it's like they did learn. A bunch of you fuckers went and undid it because you're too busy trying to push identity politics and agenda. And now you're just making people mad at each other and hating each other unfairly when they didn't before over stupidity, poor choices, and your stuff failing. And then you're turning around and blaming those people and racist and islamophobia instead of your own damn selves who ruined it to begin with.
I think they need to just do what they used to do and just put the damn show out there, put the movie out there, and let the audience decide what they think.
Gag these stupid actors.
Gag the actors. Again, that's something they used to do. The studios used to do. They used to gag the actors because the actors and the directors, a lot of times they go on these talk shows, game shows, whatever, say stupid shit. And now because of social media, they can say whatever the hell they want. And sometimes they've got a very skewed version of what's going on, or it's their personal opinion, not the opinion of the entire production. But it actually tanks the movie or tanks the show because people are like, oh, it's going to be one of those things.
Well, if Tran feels that people are, all these things, they haven't learned to let them into their spaces and stuff, then why does she want to come back to Star Wars? Why would she be open to coming back if it was so terrible and the fans were so awful and everybody was so racist against her? And now she's got an extra box because she's a lesbian too. Wouldn't that make people hate her more? I mean, this is stupid because it wasn't about that. It was about the fact the character sucked. The story sucked. You ruined Luke and you undid everything that you set up in the first movie. I mean, it just sucked.
It was weird as damn that the whole sequel trilogy is like, okay, let's ruin the original trilogy with the first movie. Let's not get all the characters together like we wanted. Let's kill off Han. Spoiler if you haven't seen it, it's been 10 years, whatever. And then let's undo, those new characters we introduced, some of them that you liked. Yeah, let's undo them and introduce a bunch of new characters in the second movie. And then the third movie, let's walk all that back and try to pull the pieces together into something coherent. Yada, yada, yada. Palpatine's back. Okay, there we go. I mean, it was a shit show, right? I wouldn't want to go back to it. I just feel like there's no point. There's no point in going back to this. There's nothing I can do. It's like it's dead. But Boyega's the same way. I think they're hoping that like, could we get another shot and could they actually do something decent with our characters this time around?
No, but not if they keep blaming the fans. No one's going to show up.
No, nobody's going to show up.
Even though you had support, like Boyega, for example, had a ton of support from fans, and he just got up there and basically said that no one wanted a black character in Star Wars. I'm like, that wasn't what happened at all. No. The arrogance, they're just the room full of farts that they're sniffing each other's farts is so ridiculous because they just keep repeating the same stuff. Like they sit there and they're just like, oh, my experience. It's like, but frankly, you hear a lot about, racism against black people, but you don't hear about it much against Asian people. And now she's trying to claim everybody's hating on her because she's Asian. I'm like, well, don't turn into Simula Yu because he makes everything about race and cultural appropriation, and people hate the guy.
He offends me.
I know. Just do not. Word of advice, Kelly Marie Tran: do not go down the road of Simula Yu.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like they have to bring up because nobody cares about this new thing she's on. They care about Star Wars, so they have to tie it into the headline, even though it's like way at the bottom of the article.
Yeah, the whole thing's mostly about this new movie she has, where she's, I guess, a lesbian in the movie. Because she's coming out on her own and something, and now she likes women and whatever. Who cares? I don't care if you do. It doesn't matter.
You can only play yourself. You can only play yourself in every movie that you're in now. You're not allowed to play. So instead of becoming a better actor, everything else needs to change to reflect that person. Instead of being able for them to adapt to reflect other people, everything has to be changed to reflect them. Yeah, very
even
very
IP.
Weird. Well, I mean, that's what happened with the Umbrella Academy when Elliot Page transitioned. They changed the entire character versus recasting or saying, "Hey, could you just put a wig on or something?" You know what I'm saying? Like, and apparently the showrunner was not happy about it, as I understand it, and then the thing just like fell off a cliff.
Well, you can't say anything because social justice. You're just a bigot.
You're not allowed to say anything. Just quietly cancel the show and be like, "Oh God, roll your eyes." And
it's come to a place where just pointing out something sucks, or just pointing out that's not, we got like with Harry Potter. Snape is described very often as pasty, as white. He's very well described. And all the other things around, like hanging from a tree and stuff, probably wouldn't be a good idea to race swap it. Not a good choice. You're a bigot. It's like, no, I'm just trying to tell you that, if you're trying to make the books like the show like the books, it's not a good idea. You're a bigot. And that's just it. They don't listen. They just want to, instead of taking responsibility for their own stupidity, their own dumb choices, they just want to blame everybody else by like just dismissing them by calling them something terrible. And it doesn't work. You've already seen this proven time and time again. It bites you in the ass. It might take a few years, but it'll bite you in the ass. Ask Lucasfilm how it's working for them. Ask Marvel how it's been working for them.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to let her anywhere near Star Wars anytime soon. I don't think they're going to let any. I think personally, especially after Kathleen Kennedy gets gone, wherever the hell she gets gone, she's like Palpatine. They throw her down a shaft and she comes back.
There'll be a clone. It's a new woman. She looks like Kathleen Kennedy when she was younger. No, it's completely coincidental.
Completely. It's
the Emperor has returned.
Kathleen with 4 E's.
Yeah, that's
Kathleen
right.
Kennedy.
If you're familiar with the lore with the clones, then you'll get it. But
it's Kathleen Kennedy.
So yeah.
I think
Kathee.
Kathy?
With a hyphen and another E.
I think they're gonna stay away from the sequel trilogy for the most part. I don't think that Rey movie is ever gonna get made. I could be wrong. People could, in like 5 years be like,
they keep stalling it out.
They keep stalling it. I think they're waiting for Kennedy to get gone, and then they're gonna be like, yes, we're changing direction because we have a new and then you're gonna hand wave because they know it's not popular.
Creative differences.
They know
that's the excuse they use all the time.
Yeah, there are the literal pallets full of Rose Tico action figures. Again, this isn't because people are racist against you or whatever, Kelly. It's not. It's because they didn't like the character. Nobody's buying the toys, and they're not gonna. I could not see Disney, especially now, changing their mindset. Now, I could not see them going back to that and being like, let's make more toys that don't sell. No. Let's make more shows that nobody's gonna watch. Right? I don't know. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.